Charles, in the meantime, digital ID in Africa, what's going on there?
Yeah, thanks very much, Mike. Yes, good afternoon all. Changing continents, but effectively the theme is the same. And as we must ask ourselves with every initiative like this that concerns Africa, is it really an African initiative, and is it really for the benefit of Africans? So we start with the announcement from Kenya, the Cabinet Secretary Owalo, advocating for an integrated African digital identity. And this was a recent announcement last week. He is the Information Communications and Digital Economy Cabinet Secretary, and he talks about a uniform digital identity that Africa as a continent moves together in growing its digital economy and fulfilling the aspirations of the African Continental Free Trade Area. And this was during the launch of the Transform Africa Summit. So we'll just remind ourselves of the free trade area, which effectively is a single market. And again, is this really for the benefit of Africans, and is it an idea from within or not? Here are some jolly folk from the government of Kenya talking about the announcement of the Transform Africa Summit, which will take place later this year. So we don't have any further information about that. But what we can point towards, again, from outside Africa, you'll note in the top left-hand corner the familiar colours of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. In this case, number 16.9. And we now have the annual Identity Day. So where has this come from and why is it there? And we look at the ID4 Africa, the organisation that was started in April 2018 in Abuja. It was enthusiastically received by the global identity and development community, and it's said that 99% of delegates in attendance who saw the initiative as a rallying cry to keep in mind the importance of SDG 16.9 and to keep countries focused on its achievement. So substantial pressure from without, and we'll just look at ID4 Africa in a bit more detail. The reason for that is that they have a conference or a summit coming up in May 21st to 24th in Cape Town, and their objectives or the outcomes they want to deliver on are listed on this sort of checkerboard here. So we'll just pick out a couple of them just to get the drift of what they're doing with it. They want to highlight the various approaches for digital transformation, including the emerging digital public infrastructure anchored on digital identity. And that's the crux of all of this, is the anchoring on digital identity. This is why it's being pushed so hard. But they talk about it being, or this conference being to do with game changers for digital transformation and the adoption of digital identity across the continent. Now, with all of these things, going back to the influence and whether it is from within or without, we should look at how these things are funded. And of course, what we see is that amongst the development partners are the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And it's worth noting that a lot of the others concern the development of children and indeed sort of capturing people while they're young. But specifically on the Gates Foundation, here's the committed grants section of the foundation showing that ID4 Africa, admittedly not an enormous sum of money, but they received $250,000, which in fact is an annual thing to advance responsible use of digital identity and digital public infrastructure. So little doubt as to whether Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is in fact pulling the strings. Children's Health Defence on X or Twitter are fairly outspoken about what they think this is. And you'll remember that a couple of months ago, I referred to the Maisha number, the system sort of identity for life, number for life in Kenya. Bill Gates pushes digital ID for newborns in Kenya. Maisha number is a biometric system that will replace birth certificates and track children from birth to 5 years of age to ensure children receive vaccines. And that's a quote from Dr. Wahomi Ngari. So Children's Health Defence very much on the front foot with that, but why would they be? And we see from Business Daily, this is going back to last autumn 23, the Gates Foundation to advise on the Maisha number rollout. So quite clearly, perhaps not to be described as a conflict of interest, but they're both controlling it from all sides. And the chief executive there of the foundation talking about their role, which they describe as being always as an advisor. We can connect the government to key technical experts and partners, but we're very encouraged by what we see. a strong, robust, open-source digital identity system which leverages financial inclusion, advances in healthcare, in education, and other services. We've been working with some other partners that we have, said Mr. Sussman. So the point is, and this relates very much back to Mike's segment, is that it's not necessarily a question of enforcing the digital identity, but it's making it perfectly clear that financial exclusion and being shut out of provision to healthcare are the consequences of not taking it up. Back to the ID4 Africa summit, and we see the patrons here in the bottom left. Thales, which, if it is a familiar name to you at all, will be one that you associate with defence. And here we see from their website, Defence and Security in the UK. But in actual fact, they're very much involved with digital identity and security, and in fact, trusted digital identity by Thales. So we'll just have a look at a video clip of theirs from 3 years ago as to the direction of travel on this.
Hello everyone, meet Lucy, student in psychology, and me, her digital ID wallet issued by the government to offer a wide range of identity services. In fact, I'm a handy way of proving and protecting her identity both online and face-to-face. Let's have a closer look at what I can do. I can help governments to better communicate with citizens. Right now, I'm reminding Lucy of the appointment she needs to schedule for her mandatory vaccination.
There we go. I cut it short there because you get the idea, but that is part of a longer clip in which essentially this technology controls absolutely every aspect of her life. And so why is this relevant to us? Because recently Thales acquired a firm called Jamalo, who in fact have the contract here for producing passports in the UK. And we see from the government website that they're described as being an experienced and trusted company, and they work with over 40 countries around the world. And with the UK government, they're involved in a number of areas, including the production of driving licenses, UK biometric residence permit cards, and on e-gates at the border. So this is all very, very much connected, and we link it back to Africa. And of course, we see, in fact, this is not so much an African initiative. It is a one world initiative, and it's being pushed very, very hard at the moment. And we see especially in the UK.
Of course, we now have to have digital ID or some form of photographic ID to vote, which some people will be doing tomorrow.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yes.